They called it a lucky break, a simple late fee that started a revolution, but they lied. Dallas, 2000. Netflix offers itself for $50 million. Blockbuster's CEO laughs them out of the room. That laugh cost his empire $50 billion. It wasn't a mistake, it was a death warrant, a calculated market execution built on data, debt, and total domination. This was never a success story, it was a heist. I am the market eagle, and this is the dark strategy behind the Netflix monopoly.
Hidden from the world, visible to the eagle.
Every global superpower requires a founding myth, a narrative shroud to justify its conquest and hide its predatory teeth. For Netflix, that story was a masterpiece of psychological warfare. You've heard the legend 1,000 times, a David and Goliath tale for the digital age. But if you peel back the layers of the corporate skin, you'll find the first signs of a calculated, multi-decade deception. The legend tells us that Reed Hastings, a frustrated consumer, was hit with a $40 late fee for Apollo 13 at a local Blockbuster. He claimed that walk to the video store felt like a walk of shame, a moment of pure emotional friction that sparked the idea for a better world. It's a perfect story, relatable, emotional, and entirely manufactured in a marketing lab. In the world of the market eagle, we don't look at the emotion, we look at the architecture of the move. A hero born from a late fee is a PR dream. It gave a human face to a cold disruption. It turned a calculated tech startup into a moral crusade for the common man. But that crusade was built on a foundation of pure industrial fiction, designed to turn you against the old guard. Co-founder Mark Randolph eventually stepped out of the shadows to reveal the truth. There was no late fee. There was no moment of epiphany at a Blockbuster counter. The Apollo 13 story was a narrative weapon, a tool of mass manipulation designed to make you hate the incumbent while you unknowingly fell in love with the digital assassin waiting in the shadows. The garage myth was the second layer of the shroud. They didn't start in a dusty garage with a dream and a soldering iron. That's a Silicon Valley fairy tale. They started in a professional office in Scotts Valley, backed by a $700 million exit from Hastings' previous venture. These weren't lucky underdogs, they were elite tech mercenaries with a massive war chest. This narrative wasn't just for the press, it was a strategic smokescreen to keep the regulators and competitors asleep. While the world looked at the cute startup with the red envelopes, Netflix was quietly building a machine designed to dehumanize its competition and dismantle the very infrastructure of physical media, brick by brick and store by store. This was the first true lesson in the dark strategy. You don't just win the market, you win the mind of the consumer first. If you control the story, you control the moral high ground. And when you hold the high ground in a capitalist war, you can strike with total and absolute impunity. Their real innovation, it wasn't the convenience of the mail or the lack of late fees. Those were just the bait. The real hook was the data harvesting, a relentless, invisible net cast over your living room, logging every pulse of your remote control, every hesitation, and every dark obsession. They weren't selling you entertainment, they were buying your behavior. Every movie you browsed, every genre you skipped, every frame you paused to look at a specific actor, it was all being fed into a digital brain that never sleeps. They weren't just renting you entertainment, they were mapping the DNA of your desire, building an algorithm that knew what you wanted to watch on a Tuesday night before you even sat down. The true foundation of the Netflix monopoly was never convenience, it was the total erosion of human choice. By creating a feedback loop of perfect recommendations, they didn't give you what you wanted, they told you to want. And in the hypnotic silence of the binge, the global monopoly was sealed, and the choice was murdered. By 2010, Netflix wasn't just a mail-order service, it was a math problem. They realized that the physical disc was just a carrier, a delivery system for the only thing that truly mattered, the data. While Blockbuster was worrying about real estate and store inventory, Netflix was building a digital cage, one you walked into willingly. They launched the Netflix Prize, a $1 million bounty to anyone who could improve their recommendation engine by just 10%. Why? Because if they could predict what you wanted, they didn't have to compete for your attention. They owned it. This was the birth of the algorithm assassin, a piece of code designed to kill the concept of browsing forever. But the real heist happened in the shadows of the 2020s, the transition from giving you what you want to telling you what you need. By 2024, the algorithm wasn't just suggesting movies, it was testing your psychological breaking point. It knew exactly when you were likely to cancel and exactly which binge bait show would keep you paying for one more month. Now look at the board in 2026. The no ads promise? Dead. The we don't buy legacy media stance? Shattered. In February 2026, Netflix made an aggressive $83 billion play for Warner Bros. Discovery. They wanted HBO. They wanted CNN. They wanted to be the only screen in your house. But then, the market shifted. Paramount Skydance stepped in with a massive $111 billion counteroffer, and in a move of cold, calculated restraint, Netflix walked away. They didn't lose, they collected. By declining to match, they pocketed a $2.8 billion breakup fee. That's not a defeat, that's a pure market robbery. With that cash injection and an ad revenue stream projected to hit $3 billion this year, the dark strategy has entered its final phase, immersive influence. You aren't just seeing commercials anymore. The AI is now generating mood ads in real time, commercials that adapt to the vibe of the show you're watching. If you're watching a thriller, the ads become dark and tense. If you're watching a comedy, they become bright and frantic. The algorithm is no longer just watching you. It is tuning your emotions to make you more receptive to the buy. It is a psychological bypass that Hollywood never saw coming. And the free choice you think you have, it's a UI trick. By 2026, 80% of all content viewed on the platform is decided by the machine before you even touch the remote. You are living in an echo chamber of entertainment, curated by an AI that values your engagement more than your satisfaction. This is the monopoly of the mind. When you control the delivery, the data, and the very commercials that fund the system, you don't need to buy every studio in Hollywood. You just need to be the gatekeeper of the audience's time. And in 2026, the gates are locked from the inside. The dark strategy has completed. The underdog has become the dictator. But as the market eagle, I have to ask, in a world where every choice is pre-calculated, who is actually in control of the remote, you or the machine?
To understand the full scale of the monopoly, you have to look beyond the play button. You have to look at the infrastructure of silence. By March 2026, Netflix doesn't just rent content from Hollywood, it has become the landlord of the entire digital ecosystem. They own the pipes, they own the data, and increasingly, they own the very culture you breathe. Every click is a signature on a new kind of lease where you pay in attention and they collect in power. In the early days, they were the friendly disruptor, helping studios monetize old dusty libraries, but that was a Trojan horse. They used those years to gather a terrifying amount of data on what exactly makes a hit, and then they cut the studios off. They stopped being the humble distributor and became the cold-blooded executioner. They didn't just build a platform, they built a gallows for traditional media. Think about the Netflix original. It wasn't just a creative revolution, it was a financial colony. By producing their own content, they bypassed the licensing fees that kept the old Hollywood studios alive. They didn't just compete with Disney and Paramount, they starved them of their own oxygen. They turned the creators of the past into the debt-ridden servants of the future, all while claiming to save cinema. And then came the local conquest. While competitors struggled with domestic growth, Netflix moved into 190 countries with a predatory efficiency that would make a military general blush. They didn't just subtitle shows, they used massive AI arrays to analyze regional psychological triggers. They looked for the specific local trauma, the specific local humor, and they industrialized it, turning culture into a commodity. In Korea, in Spain, in Australia, they've built production hubs that don't answer to local artistic standards, they answer to the algorithm. They are creating a global aesthetic, a way of storytelling that is optimized for maximum addictive potential regardless of language. If the data says a jump scare works better at minute 7, every director in every country gets the same memo. The soul of local art is being replaced by the logic of the machine. But look at the 2026 balance sheet and you'll see the darkest part of the strategy, the content debt. To maintain this monopoly, Netflix has carried nearly $14 billion in gross debt. In a world of rise in interest rates, that should be a death sentence, shouldn't it? But for the market eagle, debt isn't a burden, it's a weapon. Netflix isn't a normal company, it's a data utility. Because their churn rate is so low, losing only 3% of users while the rest of the industry bleeds, the big banks treat their debt like government bonds. They have become too big to fail in the eyes of the global financial system. They are borrowing the future to kill the competition today, and the banks are handing them the shovel. This brings us to the 2026 strategic pivot, the cloud gaming extraction. They aren't looking for gamers, they are looking for interactive truth. Every choice you make in a cloud-based game, the path you walk, the weapon you choose, the dialogue you skip, is a direct window into your subconscious decision-making. Passive viewing was the appetizer. Interactive manipulation is the main course. When you interact with a story, you aren't just playing, you are revealing. The algorithm logs every twitch of your thumb. It knows your risk tolerance, your moral biases, and your impulse control. This data is then funneled into the most lucrative shadow market in human history, where your personality is the product. By February 2026, this interactive profile is worth more than the subscription itself. You are paying Netflix to harvest your soul, and they are selling the map of that soul to ad partners at a premium. With ad revenue projected to hit $3 billion this year, they've turned your living room into a high-tech data mine. The market calls it average revenue per user. The market eagle calls it data serfdom. We are all working for them now, providing the raw material of our daily lives, our emotions, and our secrets, just so they can refine their global monopoly. We are the fuel in a furnace that only burns for profit. Consider the password crackdown of 2024. It was never about the missing $10, it was about identity purity. They needed a clean data stream, one account, one soul, one biometric signature, no leaks, no shadows, no one watching for free, because if you aren't paying, they can't accurately predict you. Now look at the $2.8 billion Heist of early 2026. They walked away from the Warner Brothers deal not because they lost, but because they won. They walked away with a massive breakup fee, cash they didn't have to work for, and used it to fund mood ads that change in real time based on the show's lighting. They are literally programming your consumer behavior while you sleep. This is the global shadow market, a place where movies are just the glossy packaging for a massive invisible mining operation. A place where success is no longer measured in awards or ratings, but in total human hours captured. They don't want your money, they want your time, because time is the only thing you can't print more of. The dark strategy has moved from the screen into the societal fabric. Netflix isn't just a company anymore, it is an environment. It's the air we breathe when we're tired, the light we see when we're lonely. And as every investigator knows, you can't escape an environment once it has been built entirely around you.
By February 2026, the mask of the friendly disruptor has been completely incinerated. Netflix didn't just survive the streaming wars, they staged a masterclass in financial sabotage. They walked into a bidding war for Warner Bros. Discovery with $83 billion on the table, and then they did the unthinkable. They walked away, but they didn't leave empty-handed. By forcing Paramount Skydance to overpay, Netflix triggered a $2.8 billion breakup fee. They got paid billions just for saying no. This wasn't a failed merger, it was a liquidity heist. While their competitors are now drowning in debt to integrate old movie studios, Netflix is sitting on a mountain of fresh cash, capital they are using to finalize the most intrusive advertising system ever conceived, the Generative Ad-Suite. This is no longer about selling you a product, it is about dynamically rewriting your environment. The mood ads of 2026 are the final nail in the coffin of consumer privacy. Using proprietary AI, Netflix now analyzes the color palette, the emotional frequency, and the lighting of the show you are binging. If you're watching a dark thriller, the ads in your breaks are automatically rendered by AI to be dark, moody, and tense. They don't want to interrupt your experience, they want to infect it. They are matching the advertisement to your current brain state in real time. But the strategy goes deeper than the screen. The cloud-first gaming pivot of 2026 is the ultimate data trap. By bringing AAA titles like FIFA and Red Dead Redemption directly to your TV without a console, they have removed the last barrier between entertainment and behavioral mapping. They aren't just watching what you watch, they are logging how you react under pressure in a digital world. Every decision you make in a game is a data point for your predictive purchasing power. With ad revenue projected to double to $6 billion by 2027, the Netflix monopoly has shifted from a content company to a psychological utility. They have become the gatekeepers of human attention. In the 2026 market, you don't need to own the studios, you just need to own the algorithm that tells the world what exists. If Netflix doesn't recommend it, for 325 million people, it simply does not exist. This is the cultural chokehold. By controlling the top 10 lists across 190 countries, they can manufacture a global phenomenon overnight. They have the power to shift social discourse, change fashion trends, and dictate political sentiment, all through the suggested for you rail. It is a level of centralized influence that even the old Hollywood moguls couldn't have dreamed of in their wildest fantasies. And the financial world has rewarded this tyranny. With an operating margin hitting 31%, Netflix is no longer a risky tech stock. It is a global bond. They have reached a state of profit permanence. They can raise prices, crack down on sharing, and flood the screen with AI ads, and the world stays subscribed. Why? Because they have made themselves a biological necessity for the modern, lonely human. So we look to the future, a grounded outlook for 2030 and beyond. The dark strategy concludes with the total disappearance of the interface. Eventually, the AI will simply play what you need to see before you even think to ask for it. A seamless stream of content and commerce, perfectly tuned to your heart rate and your dopamine levels. The ultimate silent monopoly. I am the market eagle, and I've shown you the ledger. I've shown you the lies, the legends, and the cold hard math of your own manipulation. The $50 million mistake in Dallas wasn't the end for Blockbuster. It was the beginning of an era where data is the only currency that matters. And in that market, you are being traded every single second. The case is closed, but the screen is still on. The question remains, as the credits roll and the next episode timer counts down, are you choosing to stay, or has the choice already been made for you? Watch closely. Subscribe and join the flight. Market Eagle.